Judi, thank you. Judi became a licensed Unity teacher while she was in Comox Valley. She graduated in the music ministry in 2015 and enjoys speaking and teaching across Canada and Washington State. She's also part of the Spiritual Enrichment Activity team for Unity Vancouver in Comox Valley. And she's just returned from Newfoundland and Toronto and is pleased to be back at home in Courtenay, British Columbia. So, Judi, welcome. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you. I have two things I want to ask. Am I doing the meditation after the talk?
Yes, please.
Okay. And for housekeeping, I'm going to be doing, this is a participatory talk. So I'm going to be asking questions. And if you have an answer, can you put it in the chat box, please? And we're going to be doing a live alert awake enthusiastic. So for those of you who aren't familiar, the words are going to be on the PowerPoint screen, but you may not be able to follow along. So I did show this to Cheryl. So maybe between the two of us, you can follow along with us. So it's alive, alert, awake. Enthusiastic is touch your thighs, clap, and this. Now, we'll do this again during the talk, okay? So now we get to do the share. Yes. Oh dear. Okay. Now what's happening?
I'll stop mine just in case.
Okay. Remember, okay, screen sharing, what happened? Why did this not work? PowerPoint? Do I just...
No, it's working.
Good. Okay. So when you hear the word abracadabra, what comes to mind? So that's a question. No one's got an answer? Well, it's an Aramaic word. It's the language that Jesus spoke. And it means I will create as I speak. Well, today we're going to be looking at you have the power to create the life you want. We'll look at how we perceive things, how we can change those perceptions, and how to get what we want. Remember the unity principle, thoughts held in mind produce after their kind? Well, abracadabra, change your thoughts, change your world. In Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light, and there was light. I don't know about you, but I'm not great at getting things perfect the first time I do them. When babies learn to walk, they stumble, they get up again, and they fall again. Now, do we ever scold them for falling? No, we encourage them, we support them, and we make sure that they succeed. When I saw a little girl eating an ice cream cone, I asked her, why did you get to eat ice cream? And she looked at me and said, I pooped. Well, wouldn't it be wonderful if we all got ice cream for learning new skills? What did Myrtle Fillmore believe for the first 40 years of her life? Now, I do want an answer for this. Anyone? I can't see my chat screen. Oh, there it is. Sorry. You're up. Oh, its chat screen is moved. Okay. Magic. Oh, good. Everybody got that one. Ta-da. Magic power stars. She was sick. Yes. She had tuberculosis. Excellent. Anne knows that. And why did she believe that? So Marie-José says she saw herself as destined to be sick. Well, the reason she believed that she was going to die of tuberculosis, there were no cures back then. There was no antibiotics, no vaccines, and certainly no anesthetics. So I have a question for you. Whoops, now what's happening? Oh, why is this doing this? Okay. How many of you go through life consciously? And how many of you are awake and responsive to life? So here's where we get to participate. Somebody's got a chat here too. Whoops, where's my cursor? Okay. So remember that alive, alert, awake? Okay. Why is it now okay? Okay. So remember, I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. You want to do a little bit faster since you know this now? I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. I'm alive, alert, awake. I'm awake, alert, alive. I'm alive, alert, awake, enthusiastic. Well, now you're awake. Excellent. So, the title of the talk, Abracadabra, you have the power to create the life you want. So what gives you power? Well, you need to know you. You are unique. The outside world and other people aren't going to change, but you have the power to control how you think, feel, and act. Dr. Seuss said it the best. Today you are you. That is truer than true. There is no one alive who is youer than you. Now, this is a true story. At Unity Village, one of my fellow students had a problem with his neighbor. There was a lot of loud parties, and he had to call the police several times. He went to his minister and asked what he should do. The minister said, "Bless them." That wasn't what he was expecting, so he went home, turned in the direction, went, "Bless you." Well, over time, he would just remember, go, "Bless you." So one day his neighbor came to him and apologized for the noise and told him his wife had had some problems, but she was getting treatment. And they had won the lottery and they were moving. My friend thought, well, they're leaving. So he invited them over for dinner. And to this day, they are the best of friends. Well, knowing yourself means knowing your consciousness. So there are 4 levels of consciousness, and we'll compare these to like the Unity Tower, to like a building. And I'm just going to look at these chats. Okay, good. I'm glad most of you are awake. So if you think about, whoops, here we go again. If you think about this, which would be the basement of a building, what do you think that level of consciousness would be? Okay, where's my, okay. Unconscious, yes, subconscious, unconscious, or your belief systems. Martha Stewart, I love her to death. She says, that's your BS, which I believe. So, are your belief systems always true? Well, they're based on what you know or believe to be true, your past experience, and your comfort level. Now, this varies with every single person, and it can trigger you at any time, even on a vacation. This is what I learned. So my girlfriend and I went traveling, and some people like to do the tours and the all-inclusives. Why? Because it's easy. Everything is done for you. You don't have to think or plan. Transportation is taken care of. However, sometimes their stops or their restaurants may not always be to your liking. It's usually expensive and extras are always costly. Well, independent travelers, it does take work because you've got to schedule everything. You have to have some skills. You have to know how to plan. You have to map read. You have to know how to route yourself. You have to organize, and you have to make sure your transportation is in order, or just do it. However, the benefits are it's flexible. You get to tailor it to what you want to do. It is definitely cheaper, and there's more money left over so you can purchase mementos. Well, I wanted to go to Newfoundland, and my girlfriend had suggested a tour. Well, we've been friends since grade 13, and Barb wanted a tour because I found out that was her usual style of vacationing. Well, I looked at the tour, and my idea was puffins and music and theater, and none of that was included on the tour. So I suggested that we design our own tour, and I looked at the cost of the flights, a car rental with shared driving, accommodation, theater tickets, and it was still working out to less than the cost of one tour. So when we arrived at the car rental, the airport clerk asked, well, will there be a second driver? Which is a normal thing to ask. And if I had thought about it ahead of time, I would have explained to Barb that the cost that he's going to quote is going to be the same cost that I had used to estimate. However, when he said, this is what it will be for an extra charge, Barb reacted and said, that's too much. Well, somewhere in my subconscious, there was a belief of don't make waves, don't make a scene. So instead of just calmly stepping out of line saying, we'll be back in a minute, and explaining to Barb what this was, I just reacted and said, fine, I'll drive. Well, do you think I set myself up for that? Now, the next level, now you don't have to go in any order here. What level do you think this would be? I'm looking for, oh, there's chat. So when you're going into a lobby, say, so what are you noticing and what, oh, good, somebody's answering here. Where's my little cursor? No, this isn't top. So we're not talking 4-star hotel, no. So when you go into a lobby, and what are they trying to appeal to? Not awareness. So what do you see on the table there? So they're actually, thank you for, okay. So they're actually trying to appeal to your senses. What do you see? What can you feel? What can you hear? There's usually, in your 4-star top level, you've got the sound of running water or a fountain. You've got beautiful flowers to appeal to your aesthetics. So that is your sense awareness, sense consciousness. However, is what you see and hear always correct? Now, does anyone know what the acronym FEAR stands for? False evidence appearing real. So how many of you have ever heard a noise in the middle of the night and you wake up? What is going through your mind? Oh my goodness, there's a burglar, there's a rapist. So what happens? You are in stress mode, so you're in fight or flight, your heart rate increases, your breathing is very shallow, you're straining to hear any more noise, your blood pressure rises, and your adrenaline is pumping. So is that a healthy thing for you? No. And this is all based on what you have heard and your imagination takes over. So are your senses always correct? No. Now, when we go up another level, somebody's responded here. I think, what did the cats broke this time? What? I think, what did the cats? I'm not quite sure I understand that. Okay, so if you think about a building and above the lobby, you've got the meeting rooms. And this is, whoops, where's my cursor? Okay. Oh, JD wrote, face everything and rise. That's a positive spin on the false evidence appearing real. Okay. If you think about this level of consciousness, this is your rational or your personal consciousness. So it's where you go when in a meeting room, you're thinking about rational things. So when on this trip, when I had to do all the driving, I said, well, Barb, since I'm driving, you get to navigate. So on a rational level, that seems fine. So remember that belief system. I'm going to go back here. So I've been traveling on my own since I was 17, and I learned that being prepared is essential. I know that it's important to know where you're going and how to get there. So if you look at this, what skills had I developed? Well, Barb had only done this, so she's never had to do any of the planning, etc. And in terms of navigating, she had an iPhone. iPhone relies on Wi-Fi, and I had told Barb, Wi-Fi is really scattered in Newfoundland because they don't have a lot of cell towers yet. So sometimes it didn't work. I've been used to doing Google Maps and mapping out things, etc., for a long time. So for me, I would sit there and look at that at night. We both had our computers with us, and Barb chose to watch TV where I was planning. So the planning part of mapping was not her strong point. So we did get lost. However, one man was so nice, he went out of his way to lead us on the right path to get out of town. And I'm sure it was a lovely Sunday drive that took another 20 minutes for him, but it certainly saved our bacon. So, was I being realistic in my expectation? No, I wasn't. Now, we'll go back to this one. Now, what do you think this level would be called? And I'll go to spiritual. So where does this level of consciousness reside? Cheryl's going, it's inside us. That's right. Penthouse, excellent. Yes. And how do you access this? Can you access it by being busy? No. As Cheryl was describing, the woman who had no time to meditate or no time for herself decided to give to others. So she had to access it by going inside and making a different choice. Are there any benefits to living from this level of consciousness? Of course, it gives you more peace of mind. It gives you more contentment. And how can it change your experience and the way you react in the future? Well, what are examples? I just wanted to let you know that I was driving along one day and a man honked at me. So instead of reacting, I just went, love you, have a nice day in the rearview mirror. And then the whole experience just left. I didn't carry it around with me. Whoops. Okay, so the next time you get honked at, you can choose to do something different than your normal reaction. And one time I was going to Unity Village, and when I was en route, United canceled their flight. 300 passengers, one agent, and there were no flights till the next day. Well, I had to be in class for 8 o'clock in the morning. So I decided, okay, I'm not going to get there with United. I walked over to Southwest Airlines. I did have to pay $500 to get me there, but the agent was so nice. I emailed feedback to the company that how nice the agent was, and the goal was to make it to class on time, and I was there. So everything did work out. And the next one. So the prayer of Jabez. So you can't control what happens around you, you can only control what happens within you. So how many of you are familiar with this one? It's a very small verse. It's in the book of Chronicles. And Chronicles is basically a listing of every single person after Adam. In other words, it's very boring, but this one verse became so important that a book was created. So Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, saying, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my border, and that your hand might be with me, and that you would keep me from hurt and harm." And God granted what he asked. So why do you think this is so important? The author uses a fable to explain. So he writes, Mr. Jones dies and goes to heaven. Peter is waiting at the gates to give him a tour. Amid the splendor of golden streets, beautiful mansions, and choirs of angels that Peter shows him, Mr. Jones notices an odd-looking building. He thinks it looks like an enormous warehouse. It has no windows and only one door. But when he asks to see inside, Peter hesitates. "You really don't want to see what's in there," he tells the new arrival. "Why would there be any secrets in heaven?" Jones wonders. "An incredible surprise could be waiting for me in there." When the official tour is over, he's still wondering, so he asks again to see inside the structure. Finally, Peter relents. When the apostle opens the door, Mr. Jones almost knocks him over in his haste to enter. It turns out that the enormous building is filled upon row after row of shelves, floor to ceiling, each stacked neatly with white boxes tied up with a red ribbon. "These boxes all have names on them," Mr. Jones muses aloud. Then turning to Peter, he asks, "Do I have one?" "Yes, you do." Peter tries to guide Mr. Jones back outside. "Well, frankly," Peter says, "if I were you," but Mr. Jones is already dashing towards the aisle to find his box. Peter follows, shaking his head, catches up with Mr. Jones just as he is slipping the red ribbon off his box and popping the lid. Jones has a moment of instinctual recognition, and he lets out a deep sigh like the ones Peter has heard so many times before. Because there in Mr. Jones' white box are all the blessings that God wanted to give to him while he was on earth, but Mr. Jones had never asked. So, what gifts do we have, but we may not have used? Let's see if anyone is answering. Faith. What's another gift? Strength. So remember, Andrew and Peter are brothers, faith and strength. Somebody's answering here. Okay. The 12 powers, yes. So faith, strength, love, and wisdom. James and John are also brothers. Power, imagination, understanding. Last month was will. This month is order. Zeal is next month. Renunciation and life. So normally we may bless our food. We may bless people when they travel or when they sneeze. Somebody else has answered here. Zeal, yes. So this month's power is order. And Winifred Hausman wrote it so eloquently. Order, the ability to think, reason, and choose wisely to establish an orderly growth for ourselves as God's highest creations. To develop divine order in our lives, we must learn to cooperate with spiritual law. It is the secret that will make our lives happy, harmonious, and balanced. So, what happens if you don't cooperate? Well, then you end up with issues and misunderstandings. But if you do go with the flow and don't fight against it, so unity.org has fabulous resources. And this is a video on order. I wonder if this is going to work. Is it not going to work? Let me stop. Yes, here it is.
We won't get the sound because you didn't share sound.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a nice video. My apologies. Whoops. Oh dear. Now what happened? Okay. Technology. Okay. So everyone, we can affirm together, my life is balanced and in order and all is well. Let's say that together. My life is balanced and in order and all is well. So I just wanted to let you know how I was able to appreciate order during our trip. So on our Uber trip to the airport, Barb was very friendly and chatted to the driver. When we were checking in, she discovered her phone had dropped out of her pocket. So I had her call her number, and the Uber driver was outside waiting with her phone. So she didn't lose it. That was great. When we got our car from Budget, they gave us a Hyundai, and the trunk was so small, the luggage barely fit in. When I was at the first stop in Clarenville, which is just outside of St. John's, I noticed that there was a burning smell, so I suspected it was the calipers. And I went to the Budget there. Luckily, with divine order, the clerk had not gone home at 5 o'clock. She was still there. She was able to give us an exchange of a Toyota Corolla. Ironically, that was what was written on our original contract, although we had been given the Hyundai. One of our 2-night bookings fell through in Newfoundland, but I wasn't worried. I affirmed divine order, and we ended up staying in a beautiful converted convent called Cape Way Inn, and it had an on-site laundry, and I was thrilled because I packed so lightly, I had to wash my clothes. And even though the manager had lost the booking, we got a room and a discount. And the second night we went to Cupid's Cathedral House B&B, which was delightful. So how many of you are on Facebook? Well, I want to share this quote with you. Finding yourself is not really how it works. You aren't a $10 bill in last winter's coat pocket. Your true self, you are also not lost. Your true self is right there, buried under cultural conditioning, other people's opinions, and inaccurate conclusions you drew as a kid that became your beliefs about who you are. Finding yourself is actually returning to yourself, an unlearning, an excavation, a remembering who you were before the world got its hands on you. That's by Emily McDowell. So it's not magic, but it's your conscious choice on how you live your life. So living from your spiritual consciousness will give you a better perspective on life. Know yourself. Remember, you've been given all your powers. You just need to open the box and use them. Abracadabra, get out there and live the life you want. Namaste. So now we're going to do a meditation. Oops. So let's take this time to relax into our chairs. Let our shoulders drop. And if we're comfortable, close our eyes. We anchor ourselves to Mother Earth and ground ourselves in this place and time. We take a deep breath in, knowing we have all the powers that we need. As we breathe out, we let go of any limitations or beliefs that keep us from realizing our true spiritual potential. We just breathe, filling our lungs with life-giving air, and let the oxygen circulate throughout our bodies. In this time of prayer, I center my attention in my heart and I experience a sense of peace, love, and joy. I am one with the divine and surrender as I go into the silence, as I let go and let God. I am a spiritual being with the allness of infinite mind within me. Spirit is blessing me now as I connect with the divine, and am loving, wise, merciful, and forgiving. I call upon divine order for balance in my daily journey. I move forward into that which is mine to do. If I am wishing for something that has not yet appeared, I trust that my good easily comes to me in divine timing. I see my body working in divine order. It is healthy, whole, and full of energy and life. As we let ourselves come back from this meditation, we do so gently and easily, like a baby waking to a new day. We are grateful we are able to sense the world around us. We breathe in and stretch, grateful for our bodies. We smile at the fellow congregation, grateful for their fellowship. We are so richly blessed, and we say thank you and amen.